you might bump into Penelope Cruz in Madrid. That would be lovely.
Yeah, I'd have to tell Javier, though, to bugger off for a wee while, wouldn't I? And he's a big guy.
Good morning, Vietnam! I love the smell of napalm in the morning.
You're gonna need a bigger boy.
I feel the need for speed.
Roads? When we're going, we don't need roads. Snakes. What happened with snakes?
I'm Spartacus!
I'm Batman. I am the Father.
So I watched Boiling Point last night.
Oh, how is it? Everyone's talking about this.
It's really good, yeah.
And is this on TV or cinema?
It's in the cinema at the moment.
Right.
I think it'll be coming to streaming services quite soon, though. It's one of these types of films that catnip for these services. It's only 90 minutes long, single camera, and it works really well, you know, just really sort of quality drama. Stephen Graham's just immense in it. Just fantastic.
He is brilliant. And am I right in thinking this is quite an old film? Or not old, but it was made a wee while ago and it's only getting attention now. Is that right?
It was made just before the first lockdown. They were actually making it.
Then.
Yeah, they were they had planned to do, I think they said it was either 6 or 8 runs of the whole film, and that they were going to do that over the course of 4 nights. Mm-hmm. And after they did 2 nights worth, they were told, "Now your production's shutting down. That's you." So they went with the third one. They went with the third run, which was good. But they were going to do like all 8 just to see if they could get anything. But I mean, there's absolutely nothing wrong with the film at all, you know, in terms of the cinematography or anything, or the continuity. It flows very, very nicely, you know. And just thinking about the logistics of having to do something like that from start to finish, because you have him out in the street to begin with, walking into the restaurant and all this sort of stuff. And there's things like, and it's stupid things like there's a guy at one point lighting up a cigarette and all that, and there's all these things
it's
that
quite
could
a tight,
go
like
wrong.
A kitchen's like a tight space as well. Like, it doesn't really give you much room to sort of play around with that. Like, there's no room to hide really in a works kitchen like that where it is so tight. So
and it's like there's a sort of a back kitchen, and the front kitchen's attached to the whole sort of restaurant. So there's plenty of space to move about and everything like that, and you get like wee sort of vignettes about the various people, just enough to get you interested in the people apart from the Stephen Graham character, but it doesn't go into any great depth with them, obviously, because it's only a 90-minute film and it's just covering a sort of single subject. So, but I was very impressed. Really liked it.
And I would really like to see it. Yeah, I mean, as I say, everyone is talking about it, and there's loads of reviews coming out just now, so I would like to see it. I'm struggling for cinema time at the weekend just now, but I am watching stuff.
Oh yeah, of course, yeah.
During the week, but do you know what I watched actually, which I think you've seen? I watched that Limbo, the Scottish film. I absolutely loved that. It totally wasn't what I was expecting, and obviously my wee favourite from Borgen, since Babette Knudsen, I didn't realise she was in it as well, and I bought it in FOP when I went mental that day when I was let into town for the first time in like 2 years, and I stuck it on and absolutely loved it. Couldn't get away with how good it was. It was just totally not what I was expecting, but brilliant. Really, really enjoyed it. I mean, it didn't particularly paint Scotland in a nice light for, you know, immigrants who are wanting to come over here and start a new life, but I thought it was really interesting.
No, they don't put them in a nice place, do they?
No. No, literally the arse end of nowhere. Yeah, and I thought it was really interesting. I thought how the wee bits of humour, because I thought it was going to be like quite a serious drama, and I was surprised by how funny some of the parts were as well. And obviously that opening sequence with the dance routine as well.
Yeah, that was brilliant.
Brilliant. Really good. Did you watch it at the festival then? I knew you'd seen it.
I think I saw it, I think it was at London before
was
then.
It? Right.
I think they showed it at London, and then they showed it at Glasgow afterwards last year.
Right.
And I think and it's been kicking about ever since, because I think they were kind of holding off and hoping to get a cinema release for it, but it just didn't happen. But I think it's on streaming services now. I think I've seen it. It might be on BFI or something like that.
It's on Mubi, I think. Is that?
Right. Okay. Yeah.
I think it's on that.
Mubi's good. I've had that for ages.
Is it
really
worth
good
it?
service.
I saw they were giving you a 7-day free trial with Prime. Is it worth it then? Is it quite good stuff that's on it?
You should give it a look, because it used to be that they just had a rolling programme of 30 films. So it was just like a new film every day. And so any one time you had 30 films you could watch, and then that would change. But what they've done since then is they've actually bought a lot more stuff in. So you still get your rolling program, but there's a reasonable catalogue of stuff now as well. So and it's all like weird and wonderful stuff. It's from all over the place. A lot of stuff that you wouldn't even think about watching. So or even automatically think about seeking out. But there's some really, really good stuff in there.
Is it quite festively stuff? Like now, I know we always joke about festivals are like a funereal in their approach to film selection, but is it quite festivally? Because I don't mind that.
Yes.
I quite like depressive films. So
it is. Oh no, it is. They do quite a lot of sort of miserable type films and all that, and like it's a good platform for like very long films.
Right. Okay.
There's a Chilean director, somebody Diaz, I think it is, and he does these films and they're like 5 and 6 hours long and all this sort of stuff. Real sort of meditative stuff. They've been on there as well, and there's been lots and lots of stuff. What was the other one? It was a trilogy. It was Arabian Nights, it was called, and it was set in Portugal and I think it was North Africa. It was sort of modern day tales. And again, that was like 3-hour films, which had been kicking about in various festivals and things like that. And then it just seemed to find it. See, a lot of stuff just seems to find a home there. It's stuff that doesn't end up anywhere else. But it is stuff that we tend to get to see. It's the more sort of out there stuff that we tend to get to see at Glasgow or like obviously at London as well. There's more stuff. Well, a lot of the stuff at Glasgow seems to have come from London as well, doesn't it? It seems to be.
Yeah, it seems to be kind of gets to be sort of the follow-up of it. I mean, I am really glad that Glasgow are doing the half and half this year, because as much as I definitely want to try and actually get back to the Glasgow Film Theatre, it was really convenient, obviously, to be able to know that, okay, well, this film's going to go live on the streaming platform at, say, 9 a.m. on Tuesday, but if you're maybe working or whatever, you can just watch it, but still get your review out and stuff like that. So I like that they're sticking to that hybrid programme this year.
Yeah.
Have you watched Being the Ricardos out of interest?
Mm-hmm.
Did you like it?
I really liked it. I thought I like Aaron Sorkin stuff anyway, and I know there was a lot of criticism because she didn't look like Lucille Ball, but the performance, the way that she changed from normal life to actually the TV show, I thought was fantastic. I really enjoyed it. I thought it was really, really good, and it kept you going. It was at a level, and it just kept going and kept going, and it was a really good story. And I liked the way that it was like set over the course of a week. You know, this stuff happened in a week. I know not everything happened exactly like that, but it made for a very good drama to have all the things that happened did happen, but they may not have happened all within that one sort of time scale. And J.K. Simmons, his character, and I thought he was fantastic. What did you think of it?
I actually didn't like it as much as you. I thought the script was excellent. I'm not really a Nicole Kidman fan in general, so it actually didn't matter to me that she didn't look like her. I just don't really rate her as an actress. I found the subplots around her a lot more interesting. So like the actress who, I forget her name, that she was playing the co-star on I Love Lucy, and there was a storyline about, she was losing weight and therefore, she was getting jealous because obviously she was getting thinner on screen and stuff like that. And there was the whole thing about whether or not Desi Arnaz was cheating, and he was obviously struggling with how famous she was, because when he was banging away in his bongos, everyone was paying attention to her in the club. I mean, don't get me wrong, I have no idea how historically accurate it is or not, but I did find it interesting, like obviously the whole Red Scare thing and how she kind of refused to actually say, well, no, I was joining that party because it was a sort of homage to my grandpa, and he was a really good man, and I don't see it being a wrong thing, and how that completely changed the dynamics of their relationship. Yeah, I did find it interesting. That just, I don't think it was one of Sorkin's best, and I don't get Nicole Kidman. I just don't. I've never seen her turn in a performance where I think, wow, that was groundbreaking, because I just don't like her. Did Nicole Kidman, Javier Bardem should have sold it for me. I love Javier Bardem. Like, he is, I mean, honestly, the sight of him just singing away in that white tux, I was like, oh, this is the highlight of this film. But I struggle with her, I guess. I think she just whispers her way through films. And I even watched Paddington over Christmas, and I was like, oh Christ, just going to whisper her way through this as well.
If she was, has she been in a film with Leonardo DiCaprio?
Oh God.
I'm just wondering if she had.
I watched that Don't Look Up. Did you watch that? Have you seen that as well? Yeah,
I've seen it. It's a difficult, it's good film. I enjoyed it. It was funny. It was kind of telling and kind of like worrying. But the problem, I was trying to like sort of like work my way into review of it. Like, and the problem I was having was with the first paragraph as normal that I always have. And I was going to try and put something in around the fact that like pretty much everybody's declaring that satire is dead, and it has been since Trump went into office. And that's kind of the problem they have here. Everything that they do, you kind of say, well, real life has been a bit stranger than
absolutely.
everything.
The fact that, you know, obviously, I mean, how she got elected president, I don't know, because her character seems to be this pure bimbo airhead. But the fact that there was a sort of ineffective president who wasn't listening, but would only listen when it potentially could affect their polling, or you've got Mark Rylance really fucking freaked me out in this film. As this sort of like Elon Musk light who was obviously just, you know, only interested in lining his own pockets. It is a difficult film in the sense that I could believe this would happen. So it's, in a way, it's almost not funny. It's kind of scary because you're like, well, you know, how much of this would you get away with? My thing was, I felt like, and I don't know if this was on purpose, but to me, it felt like everyone was acting in a different film. Like all of their styles were quite different and quite noticeably so. So I mean, I don't think it deserves the mauling that it's getting, because people are saying it's the worst film they've ever seen, and the answer to that is no, it's The Matrix Resurrections. But it's certainly, I think you're right. The satire is a struggle when you just think, I'm almost certain worse stuff has happened in real life. Yeah,
it was a really good bit in it when they were in the Oval Office and they were explaining how, you know, Comet coming, you know, total destruction, and they weren't taking it seriously, and you were being led down the path where you were siding with the scientists rather than the politicians. And then, and they were told, you know, this isn't, you know, it's definitely going to end, the world's going to end. And they says, well, we get told that every day. And you kind of think, they must get told that every day.
That was quite telling, actually, because we were talking a while ago about how they don't obviously tell you how many terror plots like various secret service agencies thwart in a day, because obviously you would just shit yourself and never leave the house. But that was quite a telling line, actually, as well, because there must be so much information they get. But yeah, I mean, like I said, I struggle with the satire element of it. I hated Leonardo DiCaprio's character as well. Like, he had the world at his feet and he just gave it up for a shag. Like, is that... The only thing is, people are saying that it's amazing that he has not one but two age-appropriate women.
Yeah, and age-appropriate children.
Yes, exactly.
His children were like 30 or something.
Yeah.
Which was really strange, for him. But it's quite good. The actor is Nina Arianda
for the
Ricardos.
She
was Stan Laurel's wife in Stan and Ollie.
Oh, I love that film.
And have you seen Goliath, the Billy Bob Thornton drama? It's there's maybe 3 seasons of it in Amazon Prime. He's a lawyer in it, and she's in it as well. That's the first thing I saw her in. She is sort of his assistant. And I think she's a lawyer in her own right as well, but she's fantastic, and that's really sort of totally star-making performance, really ballsy. I'm surprised I haven't seen her in a lot more stuff, but it's really good as well.
I did feel like a newer face, and maybe it is just from the Stan and Ollie film, but I thought she was excellent, and as I say, I kind of almost enjoyed her sort of subplot a wee bit more. But yeah, I mean, I guess the thing is, it's really hard with these like biopics and stuff like that, because you can veer towards too much of just like rose tinted, like, look how amazing this person was, they were so good. And obviously it didn't shy away from the fact that their marriage was shit. He was jealous of her, she was jealous of who he might be sleeping with, and the show was sort of falling apart at the seams because she was such a control freak. So I like the fact they were quite honest about that, especially because Lucille Ball's like, well, she's almost sainted, isn't she? Because she's like, you know, she's the female TV sort of star in America.
A pioneer, really, wasn't she, in that sort of respect? But I mean, we didn't really get that show over here, I don't think. I don't think there was... it might have been shown sort of later on, but I don't really remember seeing very much of it at all. So that disconnect from having seen... Because, I mean, these shows, they go into syndication in the States, and they're just shown over and over all the time. So people get really attached to them, and they get attached to the personas. So there's a whole lot of baggage that people have got when they're going to watch this film based on their own experience. Now, I didn't have that because I didn't really know very much about
same
like any of the background to it. I knew obviously the I Love Lucy show and all that, but I didn't know very much. I didn't know that she was accused of being a communist and all that kind of thing. And but I think, and she had a bit of a career renaissance in the 70s as well afterwards, because she did another Lucy show, and she was friends with the Rat Pack and all this sort of stuff. She was in all their sort of, like, you know how they did these roasts of everybody. She was on all these things as well, you know. So
I definitely think there was commentary on, obviously she was kind of on the just the cusp of being a big star, and then they told her she'd a face for radio, which, I mean, fuck's sake, like, but then she was so good at her radio show, she obviously then went on, and I guess part of that's what was driving her to be the best TV shows, because she was basically just did 2 fingers up to anyone that told her she wasn't good enough. But yeah, no, I did like the fact they didn't sort of like sanctify, or whatever you want to call it, the 2 leads. They sort of made their problems quite clear and quite obvious. I did like that, but I'm not a Nicole Kidman fan. And as I say, it's just, I don't even care that she didn't look like her, because they were saying that, I didn't realise it was Kate Blanchett that was supposed to be playing the part, and she doesn't look like her either. The most obvious choice is obviously Deborah Messing, but the not looking like her doesn't bother me. Like, I know Sammy sent that article the other day about people complaining that actors don't look like their real life counterparts. I don't really care about that. I just want to enjoy the movie.
Well, there's the whole thing going on just now about, is it Golda Meir?
Because Maureen Lipman said that it's a disgrace that Helen Mirren is playing a Jewish person. I kind of thought, there's a lot of actors over the years that have played historical Jewish figures that definitely are not Jewish. So again, it all comes back to that debate of, do you only play the physical type that you are, or as an actor are you allowed to explore different sexualities, different religions, different historical figures, because
different accents.
I'm kind of on the side of,
as well. And
I just think you're an actor, as long as it's not offensive and it's not a send up of a particular protected characteristic, then to me, if it's done sensitively, I'm okay with that. I don't know. I mean, I feel like these statements are sometimes made to attract controversy where there isn't any.
She's played a Jewish character before, I remember, quite recently, a film called, was it The Debt?
Oh yeah, yeah. She
was a Mossad agent in that.
That's right,
and she was very good, and she had the full-on generic Jewish accent that you get. Israeli Jewish accent, not the sort of Americanized version of it. So I thought she was very good in that. So, but yeah, it's very weird. I don't quite get why people are complaining in that sort of way.
I watched that Hunters on Amazon, where obviously Al Pacino, definitely not Jewish, playing a Jewish character. I mean, look at Sir Ben Kingsley in Schindler's List, or Liam Neeson. Like, none of these people are Jewish, but I'm not having anyone saying that film shouldn't have been made or wasn't. I mean, obviously, for God's sake, Steven Spielberg's the director, like, it was extremely sensitive. I just think that there is this trend now of saying, well, you shouldn't have played that part because you are not a whatever, and I just... As long as it's sensitive and it's not a send-up of a particular protected characteristic, I think actors should be allowed to act.
Yeah, absolutely.
Here's me getting cancelled.
No, not at all, because there's the whole thing about what they call colourblind casting at the moment, where actors are cast on their merits rather than being cast because of traditional casting, like David Copperfield.
Yeah, but that works, and I totally agree with that. I have no issues. I think anyone that's like, oh, David Copperfield isn't a person of colour, that can get in the fucking bin. I'm not interested in that. But to me, it definitely has to be cast on merit, as opposed to just like, let's just find someone who happens to fit the same characteristics of the role they're playing.
Because it's been done before. In that way, it's like having a white Jesus.
I know. I was trying to think. There must be a whole bunch of white actors that have played Jesus. Jesus is definitely not fucking white. So, in fact, has Willem Dafoe not played Jesus at one point?
Oh yeah. Passion of the Christ, yeah.
So I just think, like, but that obviously is a very westernized perception of who Jesus is, obviously, and I think many of the evangelicals in the good old US of A would have a heart attack if they found out that Jesus was, a Middle Eastern guy with long brown hair and doesn't look like Thor. So